Welcome to 36 Full Press and Craps Nation, YouTube's premier craps channel.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? Press here. Good evening, and welcome to my channel. This is 36 Full Press, and in today's episode, I'm privileged to have my good buddy, fellow YouTuber, and stranger to no one, El Toro. Say what's up, my friend.
What's up, my friend?
Yeah, what's up, my friend? Nice.
I'm here.
He's here. Very cool. So, in this episode, it's going to be a little, I've been trying to do a around the layout with some of my buddies and trying to bring a little bit something different to the table. I'm trying to bring that that touch of kind of like personality, right? I'm kind of letting each channel kind of answer their questions and kind of let their subscribers know a little bit more about, like, we're a little bit deeper than just throwing dice. We're a little bit deeper than just betting strategies. And today is no different. El Toro is one of the originals, right? So, and what I mean by that is we'll get into it a little bit more, but there's a little bit difference of taking a couple dollars that you may have gotten laying around the house or a couple bucks extra from a paycheck. There's that kind of playing craps, and then there's the kind of craps that you are going from casino to casino, and you got a budget that you need to meet at the end of the month, and you don't want your month to outrun your budget. You understand what I'm saying there? So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna do my traditional, ask my first couple questions, see what El Toro comes up with, and then we're gonna get out with it. All right, brother. So the first one, as always, what is your favorite betting strategy or your go-to on the layout?
All right, bud. So my go-to strategy would be, I would have to say, is my regress to press.
Okay.
Probably one of my favorites, and simply because of this, when I place bets up, as soon as they hit, I'm coming down. Now,
Right.
I'm regressing down typically to table minimum, depending on what size table I'm playing or what denomination or table minimum I'm playing. So, for example, right, if I'm playing $100 on every point and it's a $25 table, I take my hit and I regress everything down to a quarter on the number.
Right.
Similar to what I had done on my betting on a random shooter strategy. But my
Right.
regress to press, what that does for me, press, is this. It allows me to stay on the game and at least have an opportunity to press up those numbers should they come back to back to back and I'm not wiping myself out completely. If I can get them back to black, then I'll start peeling back blacks and I'll leave it there.
Right.
So that's one of my favorite strategies.
Right. And so that's your goal. And we're going to take a little bit more time because what we'll talk about later is what we're looking to accomplish here. You and I, our channels, what we're wanting it to look like for our subscribers. So I'm going to take a little bit more time just because, we have it. So what is your goal with that strategy? What is that goal? What do you want our subscribers to know? What is your goal before you even throw that money on the table? So you know what your strategy is. You know what you want to do. What are you looking to accomplish right off the bat? You want to get to black? That's what I know. I know we talk about it, but explain that theory.
Okay, sure. So let's say I'm playing a quarter table. I'm playing $25 minimum table, and I'm playing quarters on everything except for one number, my heavy number. Whether it's, if I'm shooting, it's more than likely going to be the 5 or the 6, or actually the 5 or the 8, to be honest with you. 5, 8, or 9. Those are my three go-to numbers. But I'll play 100 and probably 150 on the 5, 150 on the 8, or 150 on the 9, and one of those three, I'll pick it randomly, and then I'll bet 25 on the 4, $30 on the 6, $30 on the 8, and $25 on the 10, right? So I'm buying the 4 and 10 for a quarter each. The minute I hit that 6, I'm getting paid $175. Or if I hit the 5, I'm getting paid $205. That brings me down to $25 minimum. Now everything that's up on the table after that one hit is 100% pure profits. Right. So my first goal is to get on profits, play on profits, or expose my profits only as fast as possible. Step two for me is basically parlaying those profits and starting to pull back black chips or green chips, depending on how fast I'm playing or how well the table is going in my favor.
Right. Right.
So I'm always trying to pull back black chips if possible, which means 4 hits on your 5, 6, 8, or 9, 2 hits on the 4 and 10. That's it.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I guess the point that I want to expose to most people, right, is you and I, because we're looking for longevity in this game. We're not looking for every other weekend. We're not looking for hanging out with our friends. We're not looking for free drinks. We're looking for how can we get our profits to make more profits over time. I want my buy-in, I want my layout to expose enough to give us a little bit of money that we can play on that money and get it to that point faster. So then at that point, we can take our initial buy-in off the table and start pressing, regressing, pulling back, whatever it is that we want to do on their money. That's what we're wanting to do. And yes, as Jeremy says it, yes, as everybody else says it, it is our money, their money. The point is, it's not what we bought in for. So we're going to flip the tables, right? We'll touch on some other stuff, but we'll flip the tables. With that being said, I call it a Hail Mary. I also call it the bet that you ain't going to play. What do you think that you want your subscribers to know? No, I mean, unless it's something that you can, there's no such thing as a bad bet. It's only the bets that you can't hit. So what do you think is something that you just don't field, hops? What do you just don't play? What don't you touch?
Well, I touch. It depends, right? It depends on how much profit I've got and how much fun I want to play after I've reached my goal. So I look at it like this.
We'll get back to that.
I go in, I go in, and the first thing I want to do is I want to reach my daily objective. And if I've reached my daily objective and then some, I'm going to have fun with the and then some money.
Very good. Yes, right? Sir.
Now I'm going to have fun. Now, the other thing to answer your question, the bets I try to stay away from, if that's what you're asking me. Obviously, the bets that have the highest payouts that are one-time bets, which would be your hot bets, which would be your horn bets. Those are one-time bets that you either hit it or you don't, and you either make the money or you don't. That's a 50-50 toss, or actually not even 50-50 to be honest with you. That is 1 out of 30.
Whatever the payout is.
Jesus, however many combinations you want to put on it, right? That's why the odds are so high. I try to stay away from those bets. Now, will I play the all tall small? Yeah, because it's an entire bet for the entire length of the game, and for what I play it at, $25, $50, it's kind of doesn't really hurt me that much. Or, for example, a fire bet. If the table's got fire bets on it, sure, I'll play a $10 fire bet if they allow. $25 fire bet if they allow. I'll play that. It's a good bet to play because over time you may end up hitting it, right? But to me, the worst bets on the table for me as a shooter or for someone who's just gambling or trying to hit it quick would be your hot bets or your horn bets. Right. Unless you've got a lot of profit sitting upstairs in your rack. That's just my opinion on it, my take on it.
No, that's man. Right. Well, and that's great, and it's perfect because it's going to segue right into really the position in which I want to expose from what I know, about you and our relationship and how much we talk, and even when you're on the road, or if I've had a couple bad beats and situations, and we talked, and it was good. It was good. We kind of bounced some stuff off of each other, and I made some adjustments, and then no big deal. So you talked about that key, and I said nugget, and it's one of those things that we want to talk about. Is that and then some, right? Because it's like everything else. You can't just go strictly all the time and feel like you're going to have fun, right? So there is this level of fun that we still want to have once we meet our daily objective, once we meet our goals. Once we pull back what we want, once we see what we're doing and how the table is flowing in that minute or that time or whatever, however, and I want you, of course, your opinion, but it's like, well, I'm looking for a couple hundred. You, it's different because you have a different goal. I'm looking for 500 a week, 700 a week, whatever it is out where I'm at. And maybe I'm there. Maybe I'm already there in day 2, right? Do I want to go back?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but a lot of times I only do that and then some while I'm there. I'm not going to go back to a casino completely expose other stuff for and then some. But usually
Right.
when I'm there, and say like Sgt PassLine was playing with me one time, and I had to go, and he was shooting. I already had some and then some money, and I was watching what he was doing. I was hopping some numbers. I played a couple fields. It was just having fun, kind of like, I don't know, decompressing, enjoying the game in which we spend so much time practicing with. So do you want to, how do you feel about that and then some, and where does that play into your, and we're going to segue into it, but like, you're not just doing this because, you work for another company. We'll get into that too. So how are you justifying that and then some, especially, with the
All right.
times
So
that we're in right now?
that's actually a really good question. So
Mm-hmm.
when you do this, when you play this game, and you've played it as long as I have, you still want to have fun when you play the game. You never want to lose
Right.
sight of that. It's when you quit having fun at your job is when you need to start looking for another job.
Right.
So I try to make sure that I'm having fun at my job. And how do I do that? Well, I go in and I earn my income, my daily income, and say dollar amount X. And when I've reached that goal, if I've got that and then some money that's above and beyond, I can choose to keep it and then, move on to the next day and go to the next casino or stay there for 2 or 3 days and do what I came to do. It doesn't always happen that way. But when I do have that and then some money, which is usually a larger amount than what I planned on making, then I go and I have some fun. I literally will go and blow off some steam at the table. And that's when I go to a $5 table, because the and then some money will last quite a bit of time playing at a $5 interval, right? Because you're only paying 32 across, right? It's a small amount of money, especially when your and then some money could be, upwards of $300 or $400. 32 across is nothing. 64 across is nothing. You know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal. And sometimes on those and then some games, or let's say a poker player would call it like a sit and go game after a tournament, you make some damn good money. You might make some good money doing that.
And I want to see if you agree with this. And this is where I kind of always talk about my money that I put my money where my mouth is, right? So my channel
100.
is based on, and my channel, like your channel, is based on my experience and my money. Like I don't have to tell people what I do with my money, right? So, but my and then some money becomes your testing situation. I
That's
test
right.
certain strategy. I test something that I don't even fully understand, or something that I'm looking to maybe expand or expose. And sometimes there's a lot more of exposure, which actually helps me get. And what I mean by exposing the weaknesses, it's what's helping me, and to be honest with you, there's a lot of times that I'll use different ideas with that and then some. And I'll know pretty quickly if it has legs, and it's going to hold water over time. So, is that
You
something
did
that you do too? You're doing something different?
Yeah, no, you're right on the money. So when I want to experiment, I don't experiment on a live table with live and then some money. I don't do that. You did a video a while back on actually you were doing some strategy testing, and I really liked your series. Not just because you had one of my strategies on it, but because you were actually
too, a lot.
yeah, and it made a lot of money, by the way. But I liked it because you took the base strategy, just the root of the strategy, and you did it in a way of all the strategies. You took the root of every strategy and you said, hey, let me do this on my table where money doesn't count, money has no name, and money has no value. It's not spoken for. So you did this and you said, hey, let's run this strategy. That's where I actually start doing my experimenting. On the table, when I have my and then some money, the extra. I go literally just to have fun. I mean, I'm not playing. I'll
Mhm.
still play a strategy, and I'll pick any kind of strategy. I may play. The Iron Cross just to have fun, and play.
Right.
And during that time, I probably will pitch out. I'll play the hard ways if the point's an even number.
Right.
I don't
right.
just play hard ways. See, again, this is another thing for me. I don't just play hard ways to play hard ways. If my point set is an even number, I'll play the hard way with an even amount that matches my base PassLine bet. So $25 six, a $30 six is going to get a $25 hard six. That means if I roll that six easy, I'm only bringing back $10, right? Because I'm going to re-up my hard six for the quarter. Some people call me crazy, but when that hard six hits and hits back to back,
not so crazy anymore.
yeah, I just beat the crud out of the casino. Those are just little things that I like to do to have fun. It really makes me feel good when those bets hit. But that to answer the question, when I'm at the table with my and then some money, I'm not really experimenting. I try not to experiment on live dollars. I don't find that fun, because then I'm losing on a strategy that I either, number one, don't fully understand and have no business playing it, or two, it's a strategy that I don't know because I didn't dissect the root of the strategy like what you've done.
Right.
And remember this. Remember when I called you that day and I said, "Hey, bro, let's talk about your 3-point blender." And you said, "Hey, yeah." Remember you said, "Hey, I want you to do a video on my 3-point blender." And I called you back and said, "Hey, let's talk about this." So I wanted to understand the strategy, and you and I stayed on Skype, I want to say, for a few hours until I really understood.
We worked it out. Yep.
Yeah, I want to understand what the strategy was from its creator, not take my strategy and not take your strategy and try to put the freaking spin doctor shit on it. I want to know what it is from the core.
It doesn't work. Right.
No, I want to know from the core, what is this strategy? How does it work? And will I or do I ever see myself playing it? And for me, that strategy, yes, it has merit. It has a lot of staying power, but it's not in my wheelhouse and it's not my cup of tea. So meaning this, in order for me to play it, I had to make the video to where I would realistically see myself playing it, and had that, your 3-point blender El Toro style, which was $600 on every number. That's the only way I saw I was going to make money.
And just because nobody knows about it and they haven't seen it, they're probably one of the few that haven't, since it's got over 30,000 views on that video. But I'm glad that you brought this up, and I kind of almost wish that I could say that we talked about this before and wrote down these questions and the answers, because you're doing a really damn good job. But that's that's kind of like what we do, right? A lot of how you and I flow, and we talk about kind of matching our channels with like minds, like thought process, like goals. You know what I mean? And we've talked about that before, and I wish I could take credit and say, hey, that was a great question that I just asked you, because you just led me into my next question. But if anybody knows
I will
me,
say
I just kind of do that.
To all the viewers out there that are watching this, whether you're 36 full press viewers or El Toro viewers or any other YouTube content creator viewers out there, I will say this is pretty much raw. This is a non-rehearsed. I have no idea what he's going to ask me next.
Well, I told you 20 minutes.
I'm actually apprehensive about it because I don't know what you're going to ask me.
Well, I called you 20 minutes on my way in and said, hey, do you have time to do this? Because I was wanting to do it, and then when I told you, you didn't even have your camera set up. So yeah, and I guess the reason why I'm doing this and these extended views and information and stuff is because, one, we are who we are, right? We're just everyday people doing something that we like to do, and of course I'm never going to ask a question that I'm going to put somebody, and you don't always have to answer my question, but it's one of those things where it's like we're talking, and you kind of you're leading me, even though I'm asking you the questions, because what I really want you to talk about, if you feel comfortable talking about it, is you say, well, this is El Toro style. And to some people, they're like, oh, it's because El Toro plays, higher denomination. Well, yeah, but the thing is El Toro has a wife and a house and cars and, the shit that we all do, health insurance, kids, medicine. Like, El Toro's got to play at El Toro level to make it work for the swings. And like I said, you don't have to, indulge much of what you don't want to, but my around the layout is giving people an opportunity to know who they're learning from. If you can't see what it is or what this person is teaching you, then that's what you got to figure out for yourself. So, go ahead and the floor is yours. So, how did you get here? Your career choice. Yeah, I like it.
So it's kind of interesting. How did I get here? Right. Quite honestly, I've been playing craps since my wife and I got married. I fell in love with the game probably 2 years prior. Had gone on a trip to the Bahamas, and for the first time had stepped into a casino and saw the craps table and heard all the excitement. I was young, really young, and saw the table and took one look at it and said, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah. Well, here.
So a guy looks at me and says, just put your money down there, boy. And I said, well, okay. So I stuck it down there and immediately lost. I looked at him and said, well, that wasn't very fun. And he says, you got to learn how to play the game. So from there, I took off and came back home, and my wife and I ended up getting married, and then we went back to the Bahamas a few years later. And I was doing everything in my power to try to, I guess, do research and homework on what this game was all about. Now, it didn't have specialty bets or anything like that. It's basically, hard ways, horn bet, pass line, don't pass field was your basic layout. And there was not a lot of books out there at the time. There was really not a whole lot of anything out there other than Golden Touch Craps, I want to say was the book, if I remember correctly. And that was Frank Scobletti and Dominic Lagrigio, I think is his name. Right. So I read the book. I read the book. That was the very first book on craps I read. And you know what? It really told you a lot about a bunch of other stuff. It didn't really tell you about how to actually play, really. I mean, it told you kind of, but not really. It's theory. Right. It didn't translate. I couldn't get it to translate because I was too young, too immature, attention span of 0. I just couldn't get it to work. So I went and played, and again, lost my ass. And I said, wow, this game really sucks, but it intrigued me because I'm that kind of guy. And when I started out my YouTube channel, I told everybody, listen, man, I'm just grateful to be part of this community, but I'm also an athlete like yourself and played a lot of sports, and I've always been one of the best at my sport that I did. And you get there by a lot of practice and studying. So what I did here was I ended up doing as much as I could to learn and study. There was no YouTube back then, nothing I could really reference video-wise. But I ended up just learning how to play through the School of Hard Knocks. It cost me, I always tell everybody, I've got about $100,000 education, just like going to a standard university in craps. That's about how much money I've lost, if not more. I couldn't really quantify, but I'll tell you, I've lost probably over $100,000 in playing this game, learning how to play this game. Then from there, it turned into I became a good student, and slowly started regaining my education back and paying down my student loan to myself. Right. That's kind of the story of how I got involved. Now, where I am today, I started as just a normal dude on YouTube. I had seen a couple of videos and looked at it and said, wow, I think some of these people are just they're all theory and talk, and these guys don't know what's going on at the real tables. These guys are weekend warriors that are claiming to be authorities on something that If you've spent 30 days with me playing the way you teach, you'll be broke by
Right.
the first week. So I decided I was going to start my own little channel, and then you reached out to me. I was,
Yep.
I'm telling you, I just like a regular old guy. I was just thrilled to death. I mean, you guys were huge. I had 10 subscribers, and you guys were at like 1,000 or something. I didn't know what was going on. Hell, I still don't know what's going on when it comes to the video thing, but that's where
Well,
I'm at
yeah, I
today.
think
I'm just really just
we're
trying to
all
put
trying to
out,
figure that out.
I'm just trying to put out a product that makes sense, that I can relate to people with out there. Am I trying to teach people how to be, 100% full-time craps player? No,
Nope.
it's not for everybody. It's really not. You got to have a bankroll. You have to have a substantial amount of money in the bank to be able to withstand and weather the storms. For example, right now, it's been what, 2 months since I've been able to go to a casino. That's huge
Right.
for most people. Some people like you probably, well, you can go to work, but some people out there watching your channel are like me. They haven't been able to draw an income. A lot of them got laid off and this, that, and the
Well,
other.
I mean, not that I was counting on it or anything like that, but I mean, it's still 2,000 a month that I was
Yeah, I mean,
making.
it's
I was
whatever
making
whatever
2,000
whatever your take
2,500 a
is.
month, and I'm losing it. Right.
Well, whatever your take is for the month, it's gone to zero.
Right.
No
Yep.
matter what that amount is, and mine's no different. Mine's went from making money to absolutely have no way of making money right now. So that's kind of where I'm at today, which is, what do I do? Well, I take this time and I can either sit in a corner and cry, or I can take this time and use it to its fullest potential and practice everything from my technique to my gambling to my betting strategies. Right? I want to be better. I want to do better and be better and poke more holes in it like Swiss cheese until I find what works best for me. So that's where I'm at here today. That's how I got here, to answer your question.
Yeah.
That's the short answer.
That's short answer. Right. Well, I mean, well, you and I talk a lot, right? So there's a couple more things that I really want to kind of talk about. Like we did a live, which was real, it turned out really good, and it's like we had a lot of things that we wanted to talk about, but there's a lot of we just don't have a whole lot of time, right? Like I talked to other people. We got about 15 minutes to really get what it is that you want people to understand about you. That's why I'm doing these around the layouts. Usually, in future, the around the layouts are going to be like, weekly updates, favorite bets, explaining different bets, but we don't have that right now. Times are different. Everybody is kind of doing their own thing. Right now, I'm just kind of using this opportunity to kind of let people know who is out here. So with that being said, you and I, we talked about aligning ourselves, aligning our channels, aligning our thought process, because we play. We're not weekend warriors, right? We have to build a bankroll. We have to sustain a bankroll. We have to do other things with our money. Also, what we talked about on our live, and what I would like to kind of wrap this up with, is we use the terms advantage player, right? So I want you to explain your definition of, in case they haven't seen the live, it's over on El Toro's channel. I want you to explain what it means to you to be an advantage player. And I always love the the process of a real shooter, a real person playing. Like, you have to have a couple things if you're going to make it here. And there's no one better to ask than this. You have to have a plan. You're the one of the person that has talked to me. You got to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? So you have to have a plan. You have to stick to your plan. There's other things that you have to do. So give me 1 second here.
Yeah, you make these interviews easy. Shit, you ask the question, then you answer it for me.
I wanted you to see this. Check out this sweatshirt right here. You like that?
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, 36 full press sweatshirt. Yeah, so go ahead and whatever you can do with it. You know what I mean? Just what is advantage, being an advantage player mean to you? And what do you think that a person needs to do when they step up to a table? And if they can't do these things, they need to get it right first.
Okay. So two good questions. What does it take to be an advantage player? What does it mean to me? So being an advantage player to me is twofold. One, this is the only game that you really can control your medium, which are the dice, or you have an actual interaction with it. You can't go up to a roulette table and throw the ball, spin the wheel. You just can't do that. In cards, you cannot draw your cards out the shoe. There's no way possible. The only game you can actually interact with the game is craps. So you have your hands on the medium, which is the dice. And the first thing is, to be an advantage player, you need to learn what it takes to get the dice from one side of the table to the other with enough finesse and control to where you can generate numbers that you have money placed on. Before you 7 out. And I said this on our live video, was you cannot avoid a 7. It's impossible. Right. The dice combinations are too great to try to avoid it. Now, on a lot of my videos, there's a lot of rolls that are, over 20 plus. That didn't just happen. That didn't just happen out of luck. It's because I learned how to finesse the dice to where it's going to yield the results I'm looking for prior to the 7, right? So that's the first part of being an advantage player. The second part of being an advantage player is finding a betting plan that works in correlation to your bankroll and to your betting style. So, for example, you are, from what I've seen on most of your videos, you started out as really a don't player, 100% straight up don'ts. Now your new plan, being the Cleveland Hustle, is kind of a light dark type thing. So it's kind of evolving, and it's morphing to the way your bankroll has been growing and developing, and how you're developing as a player. Right. So that to me is the second part of being an advantage player, knowing what type of player you're going to be, and finding your plan and sticking to your plan, and don't outbet or don't overbid your plan. That's an advantage player to me. Now,
yeah, that's awesome.
Your second question is, what is it, if I remember it right, what does it take to do what I do, or what does it take when you go up to a table?
Right, and I think that's what it is. And I guess, long story short, is you have to have a plan, right? So I want you to kind of like explain. I mean, you and I talked about this a long time ago. I mean, I'm talking about a long time ago.
Well, you said, so you hit the nail on the head about something I did tell you years ago, many moons ago.
Feels like years ago, yeah.
Which is this. So when you walk up to a table, anybody watching this right now, when you walk up to a table, your plan has to come in 3 pieces. You do have to have a beginning, you do have to have a middle, and you do have to have an end. So your beginning is how you're going to start your strategy. The middle is sticking to either 1 or 2 betting plans that you've brought with you in your arsenal. And then the ending is, how do you plan on exiting the game? How do you exit yourself off this game where you literally are going to walk away, whether that's up or down? You have to choose, right? You have to choose. Absolutely. If I'm having a great roll, and I shared this with you, and I've never really shared it with anybody else other than you, but when I'm having a great roll and I'm ready to put my exit strategy into place, what did I tell you I play? I start throwing DCs.
Yeah, exactly.
And I start bringing myself down. Yeah, I'm starting to bring myself down, and I already know that I can't keep it up forever. The 7 will come. I'd much rather pick up a few more dollars and start raking myself off the table little by little. That is my ending. And if I roll a 7, I've ended, and I walk away. That's my beginning, middle, and end. For most people who watch our channels, I think most of them are, the weekend warriors, the guys that go up either every weekend if they're close enough to a casino, or they're the guys that, the Easter and Christmas kind of people. They go to Vegas only when their jobs have a function there, or it's their annual vacation or whatever, right? They just go really to have fun. And the reason they watch our channels is for the glimmer of hope on maybe I can find that one nugget that's going to help me make my trip successful, where I can actually have fun and then not lose the money I brought to play with. Right. And I like that because guys like you who are on the table when the casinos are open every day before work for, half an hour, 45 minutes.
Mhm.
I think the nugget that you're putting out there that people always miss is the time. You're
Yeah.
only there for 30 to 45 minutes. You
Tops.
make it
Yep.
you make it and go. And one
Mhm.
of the things that casinos prey on is the guy that doesn't know how to say stop, I quit, I give up. You
Mhm.
win and you don't walk away. You think you're going to win forever. The
Right.
longer you stay at a table, the lower your probability becomes of walking away a winner.
Right, and then that's where I'm glad that you kind of did, brought my, my philosophy into it also because, we've talked about, being away, being farther away, but yes, I do have it across the street. Yeah, I have a 45-minute max timer.
I've
Um,
seen it. It's across the bay.
yeah, yeah, it's right there. So yeah, it's beautiful. And once it lights back up and those machines start popping and those chips start clipping, I'll be first in line. I can guarantee it. So
Yeah.
hey, like I always say, I really appreciate you. Our friendship is great. We're aligning our channels both on El Toro's channel and 36 Full Press. We're going to do some collab videos. We're going to test some strategies. We're going to throw out some nuggets of wisdom or experience, or however you want to look at it. More wisdom on his and lack of experience on mine, since he's got some years on me at the table. But we're going to do what we can to bring this best information out and be as real as possible, so you're not so surprised when you get to the table. So, Mr. Sir
Well,
El Toro,
it's also free. It's also free.
it's as well as it's going to say, it's what you paid for. So you can take what we're giving you and run with it, or you can say, "Hell, you don't know what he's talking about," and keep doing whatever it is that you're doing. So you
Yeah,
got anything
absolutely. And
else?
we're
Or
okay with that.
we're perfectly fine. Yeah, yeah, I'm fine with it. Perfectly fine. So you got anything else you want to add to this? We're about 40
Yeah.
minutes in. We probably lost everybody at 10 minutes. But
Yeah, no, I know,
we had
right?
fun.
I just wanted to just tell you thanks for having me on your channel, and thank you and all your viewers. Those of you who are subscribed to me, I appreciate your patronage. I appreciate you guys watching and
Mm-hmm.
liking and subscribing. Quite honestly, like I said, I really have developed a good relationship with you. You're one of the few people I've actually spoke to in this craps community or craps nation that actually does go and play for real.
Mm-hmm.
And it's you're not the snake oil salesman. And again, around the layout to me is really what it, in my mind, when I hear around the layout, that means you're a shooter that can shoot from any place around the layout, not just a one trick
Absolutely.
pony. You're not a one
Yep.
trick pony, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
I'm not
appreciate
either. I can shoot from any position on this table.
it. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter to me. I'm not that only one place kind of shooter.
Right.
I
Right.
shoot from
And we
anywhere.
yep. And
So I just wanted
we
to
have the
say,
strategy to
yeah, I
go
mean,
with
like
it.
I said, I wanted to say thanks. Thanks for the time.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for the interview. Hopefully I answered your questions as best I could.
No,
And,
you did. No, you did
hey,
awesome, and I appreciate it.
we'll do another one.
Yeah, we will. And if anybody is yet subscribed to El Toro, his link, of course, will be in the description along with all the other information in there. So make sure you hit him up, El Toro Dice Club, if you actually want to learn the ins and outs. And he's, as you can see, is very knowledgeable about the game. Send him any questions; he will respond to you. All right, brother, I will talk to you. And as always, we'll sign out. So that's El Toro Dice Club, and 36 Full Press. Until later, you guys know what to do.
Peace.
Press out. And he said, peace. Here we go.